It's a common thought, isn't it, that the strength in our legs naturally fades simply because we're aging? Many individuals in their golden years come to believe that weakened legs, challenges with walking, or persistent muscle discomfort are just unavoidable milestones of getting older. However, the reality is quite different. The nourishment you provide your body through your diet significantly influences your leg strength, perhaps much more than you currently realize. Every single step you confidently take, each moment you stand tall, and every time you ascend a staircase relies heavily on the health and resilience of your muscles, bones, and joints. The foods entering your system are constantly working, either building up and safeguarding your legs, or, regrettably, silently diminishing their power over the months and years. If you find value in insights like these for maintaining vitality as you age, please consider liking this video or subscribing to Old Age Wisdom to stay updated. Unfortunately, it's quite common for seniors to unintentionally consume foods that actively harm muscle tissue, impede healthy blood flow, and contribute to bone fragility, making maintaining mobility an increasing struggle as time goes by. The encouraging news is that you possess the ability to influence this process positively. You are certainly never too advanced in years to adopt choices that benefit your health more profoundly. By consciously steering clear of detrimental foods and wholeheartedly embracing those that truly nourish, you can work towards regaining physical strength, lessening discomfort, and ensuring your legs remain robust and dependable for many more active years. So, the crucial question becomes, which commonly eaten foods might be secretly undermining your ability to move freely? Let's explore 5 everyday food categories known to weaken leg strength and discuss beneficial alternatives you can incorporate instead. First on our list is processed sugar, often referred to as the silent adversary of muscle vitality. There's an undeniable comfort associated with a touch of sweetness, perhaps a teaspoon of sugar brightening your morning coffee, a celebratory slice of cake during family get-togethers, or even the routine habit of enjoying a cookie after your evening meal. It often feels entirely innocent, almost like a small, deserved treat following a demanding day. We appreciate you tuning in, and if this resonates with you, hitting that like button or subscribing to Old Age Wisdom helps us reach more people seeking this knowledge. But what if this seemingly harmless daily indulgence is methodically draining the essential power from your legs? Numerous seniors grapple with muscle weakness, aching joints, and an escalating sense of tiredness without ever connecting these symptoms to the significant role sugar plays in their diminishing mobility. You might naturally attribute sore legs and morning stiffness solely to the aging process, but scientific understanding points to a different conclusion. An excess of sugar circulating in your system gradually weakens your muscle fibers, making sustained activity more challenging and even elevating your risk for serious mobility complications down the line. When you consume sugar, whether it's found in obvious sources like desserts, sugary beverages, and pastries, or concealed within packaged foods, your body undergoes an immediate surge in blood sugar. Initially, this can create a fleeting sensation of energy, but this effect is short-lived. The rapid increase is inevitably followed by a crash, leaving you feeling drained, sluggish, and physically weak. Over extended periods, this recurring pattern disrupts your body's natural energy regulation, transforming simple movements into exhausting endeavors. The detrimental impact, however, extends beyond just fluctuating energy levels. Surplus sugar acts as fuel for chronic inflammation throughout the body, a primary contributor to joint pain and muscle weakness. When your system is in a constant state of inflammation, joints can become stiff, swollen, and painful, particularly in weight-bearing areas such as the knees and hips. Inflammation also negatively affects muscle fibers themselves, diminishing their flexibility and rendering them more susceptible to injury or strain. This underlying inflammatory process helps explain why so many older adults contend with persistent leg pain or a sensation of heaviness, even in the absence of a clear injury. Furthermore, there's the compounding issue of insulin resistance. As we age, our body's sensitivity to insulin can naturally decline, but a diet rich in sugar significantly hastens this process. Once insulin resistance develops, your muscles struggle to effectively absorb vital nutrients like protein and amino acids, the fundamental components required for maintaining strength. Without adequate nourishment, muscles gradually begin to atrophy and weaken, a condition known as sarcopenia, which is why seniors with high sugar consumption often experience accelerated muscle mass loss, making balance and overall mobility increasingly precarious. Beyond the impact on muscles and joints, sugar also surreptitiously compromises the integrity of your bones. Most people remain unaware that excessive sugar intake interferes with the body's ability to properly absorb calcium, leading to progressively weaker and more brittle bones. This significantly heightens the risk of fractures, an outcome that can be particularly devastating for seniors. A simple fall, which might have previously resulted in nothing more than a minor bruise, could potentially lead to a serious injury, severely impacting independence and quality of life. So what practical steps can you take? The solution isn't necessarily about eliminating all forms of sweetness from your diet, but rather about making more informed and healthier selections. Instead of refined white sugar, consider natural alternatives like small amounts of honey, dates, or coconut sugar, which tend to have a gentler effect on blood sugar levels. Fresh fruits are an excellent choice to satisfy cravings for sweetness, while concurrently providing beneficial fiber, antioxidants, and essential vitamins that actively protect your muscles and bones. When those sweet urges arise, reach for options like dark chocolate, in moderation, nuts, or a small bowl of plain yogurt topped with berries, rather than processed sweets that deliver empty calories devoid of nutritional value. Most crucially, cultivate an awareness of hidden sugars. Many packaged foods deceptively marketed as healthy options, including certain yogurts, granola bars, salad dressings, and even some types of bread, can be laden with significant amounts of added sugars that quietly sabotage your health goals. Always make it a habit to check nutrition labels and prioritize whole, unprocessed foods that offer sustained energy and genuine nourishment. The dietary decisions you implement today directly shape your capacity for movement tomorrow. While sugar might appear as a minor, harmless indulgence, its cumulative effect over time steadily erodes your ability to walk confidently, stand securely, and live independently. Don't allow something so largely preventable to dictate the trajectory of your future mobility. Seize control of your nutritional habits now, ensuring your legs remain strong, steady, and fully capable for the many years that lie ahead. Next, let's discuss deep-fried and fast foods, the concealed adversaries of joint health. There's an undeniable allure to the satisfying crunch of golden brown French fries, the crispy texture of fried chicken, or the comforting warmth associated with various deep-fried snacks. These foods are often readily available, convenient, and frequently linked to pleasant memories of social gatherings, celebrations, or simple moments of culinary pleasure. However, while they might temporarily please your palate, they are simultaneously working behind the scenes to weaken your legs, increase joint stiffness, and make fluid movement progressively more challenging with each passing year. Many seniors understandably attribute their slowing gait, aching knees, or the sensation of heaviness in their legs solely to the unavoidable consequences of aging. But the truth remains that your dietary intake holds just as much significance as the number of candles on your birthday cake. Deep-fried items and typical fast food fare rank among the most detrimental choices for the health of your muscles, joints, and circulatory system. 3 pillars essential for maintaining strong, functional legs. When you consume foods prepared through deep frying, you expose your body to unhealthy trans fats, widely recognized as one of the most potent inflammatory substances prevalent in modern diets. These harmful fats don't merely contribute to unwanted weight gain. They actively trigger widespread inflammation throughout your system, with a particular impact on the joints. Chronic, low-grade inflammation acts as a silent saboteur, gradually causing stiffness, swelling, and persistent pain that makes fundamental activities like walking, standing for extended periods, or climbing stairs increasingly arduous. Over time, this accumulated inflammatory damage can lead to the degradation of cartilage and significantly elevate the risk of developing arthritis, a condition impacting millions of older adults and substantially curtailing mobility. But the adverse effects don't cease there. Fried and fast foods are also known to impair blood circulation, hindering the efficient delivery of vital oxygen and essential nutrients that your muscles require to maintain their strength and function optimally. Inadequate circulation can manifest as recurring leg cramps, persistent fatigue, and a heavy, sluggish feeling in the limbs that transforms even short walks into taxing efforts. For seniors, preserving robust circulation is absolutely critical, not just for muscle performance, but also for preventing serious vascular problems like deep vein thrombosis, DVT, and peripheral artery disease, PAD, both of which can lead to dangerous blood clots and diminished mobility. Another significant concern revolves around how these types of foods contribute to rapid weight gain, which places direct and substantial stress on your legs. The more excess weight your body carries, the greater the burden imposed upon your knees, ankles, and hips. It's estimated that for every additional pound of body weight, your knees are subjected to approximately 4 extra pounds of pressure during activities like walking or climbing stairs. This amplified load makes movement increasingly difficult and painful. Consequently, many seniors who regularly consume fried foods find themselves grappling with joint pain, instability, and a heightened susceptibility to falls. The surplus weight also accelerates the erosion of cartilage, the natural cushioning material within your joints. Once this protective cartilage wears down significantly, movement becomes not only painful but potentially debilitating. Perhaps one of the most frequently overlooked consequences of diets high in fried and processed foods is their detrimental effect on bone health. These food choices interfere with the body's capacity to effectively absorb crucial minerals like calcium and magnesium, both indispensable for maintaining strong, resilient bones. Over time, this interference can lead to reduced bone density, rendering bones more fragile and fractures more probable, a serious risk for seniors, as hip fractures are notoriously one of the primary causes of lost independence in the older population. A single accidental fall could drastically alter your entire lifestyle, transforming everyday activities into painful challenges. Fortunately, you have the power to take proactive control before significant damage occurs. Instead of habitually resorting to fried foods, explore and embrace healthier cooking techniques such as baking, grilling, steaming, or air frying. Replace commonly used processed vegetable oils with healthier fat sources like olive oil or avocado oil, which are known to support joint health rather than contributing to its decline. When cravings for crunchy snacks strike, opt for nutritious alternatives like nuts, roasted chickpeas, or homemade snacks prepared with whole ingredients that provide genuine nourishment instead of fueling inflammation. When dining out, make a conscious effort to select grilled or steamed menu options over deep-fried meals. Remember that even small, consistent changes accumulate over time, and the effort you invest in improving your diet today will yield substantial rewards in the form of stronger legs, enhanced mobility, and a greater sense of self-reliance in the years to come. What you choose to eat possesses the remarkable power to either heal or harm, to strengthen or weaken. The choice ultimately rests in your hands. Resolve to let food be a source of vibrant energy and effortless mobility, rather than a catalyst for pain and limitation. The next time you find yourself tempted by a fried snack, pause and ask yourself, is this momentary satisfaction truly worth potentially sacrificing the enduring strength of my legs? Because the answer you arrive at may very well determine how effectively you walk, move, and live throughout the coming years. Let's now turn our attention to processed meats, which can subtly destroy muscle strength, bite by bite. For many individuals, processed meats have long served as a convenient and familiar component of daily meals. Perhaps a quick ham and cheese sandwich grabbed for lunch, the enticing sizzle of bacon on the stovetop during breakfast preparations, or a classic hot dog enjoyed at a summer barbecue. These food items have become deeply ingrained in our routines and cultural traditions over decades. However, what most people fail to recognize is that concealed behind their convenience and often savory flavor, processed meats are quietly undermining the very muscles essential for keeping you mobile and active. As you advance in age, preserving strong, functional muscles becomes paramount for maintaining your mobility and safeguarding your independence. Ironically, the very foods sometimes perceived as sources of protein might actually be systematically draining your physical strength. Processed meats, encompassing items like bacon, sausage, ham, various deli meats, and hot dogs, are typically laden with preservatives, excessive sodium, and other potentially harmful additives that gradually erode your body's capacity to move efficiently and comfortably. One of the most significant concerns associated with processed meats is their exceptionally high sodium content. When consumed in excessive quantities, sodium prompts the body to retain excess water, leading to fluid retention and noticeable swelling, particularly in the lower extremities. This can leave your legs feeling uncomfortably heavy, stiff, and sluggish. Over time, this persistent physiological strain weakens the muscles, making it increasingly difficult to stand for prolonged durations or walk significant distances without experiencing discomfort. Seniors who maintain a diet rich in sodium often report more frequent occurrences of muscle cramps, joint pain, and sometimes even numbness or tingling sensations in their legs, all of which render everyday movements more challenging than they ought to be. Beyond the issue of water retention, processed meats also significantly contribute to systemic inflammation, a hidden yet potent factor implicated in the deterioration of both muscle and joint health. The various preservatives and nitrates commonly employed in the production of processed meats act as triggers for chronic inflammation within the body. This low-grade, persistent inflammation silently inflicts damage upon muscle tissue, rendering it weaker and less resilient over time. Furthermore, inflammation adversely affects your joints, contributing to stiffness, discomfort, and pain that can transform even seemingly simple tasks, such as climbing a flight of stairs or rising from a seated position, into daunting challenges. What makes this particularly concerning is that the cumulative effects of ongoing inflammation don't merely slow you down in the present. They actively accelerate long-term muscle loss, making the preservation of mobility progressively harder as you continue to age. Another serious consequence stemming from the regular consumption of processed meats is their negative impact on nutrient absorption. Your muscles fundamentally require high-quality protein, iron, and a range of essential vitamins and minerals to remain strong, pliable, and functional. However, the chemical-laden composition characteristic of most processed meats interferes with your body's ability to efficiently absorb these crucial nutrients. Instead of providing genuine nourishment to your muscles, these foods effectively leave them starved for the vital support they need. This inadequate nutritional support leads to a gradual weakening of the muscles, a decline that often becomes increasingly noticeable over time as physical strength diminishes. If your goal is to preserve your strength and shield your legs from unnecessary strain, it's prudent to begin replacing processed meats with healthier, nutrient-dense alternatives. Opt for fresh, unprocessed sources of protein such as grilled chicken, turkey, or fish, which deliver clean protein without the accompanying burden of harmful additives. Incorporate more plant-based protein sources into your diet, including beans, lentils, nuts, and seeds, as these are rich in essential nutrients that actively support robust muscle health. If you enjoy sandwiches, consider using freshly cooked meats sliced at home instead of relying on pre-packaged deli slices. And be sure to pair them with whole grain bread and plenty of fresh vegetables for a well-rounded, balanced meal. The food selections you make on a daily basis exert a direct and profound influence on your ability to move freely, walk comfortably, and live independently. While processed meats may offer undeniable convenience, they come at a considerable cost, potentially compromising something far more valuable: your physical strength and mobility. Transitioning towards healthier protein options now translates into the promise of stronger legs, greater ease of movement, and the enduring freedom to remain active and engaged for many years into the future. The decision ultimately lies with you, and your future self will undoubtedly express gratitude for making the wiser choice today. Now, let's delve into high-sodium foods and how they can drain strength from your legs. Salt, in various forms, has been an integral part of nearly every meal for generations. Routinely sprinkled over eggs in the morning, incorporated into savory soups and stews for dinner, and often concealed within the processed foods that add a measure of convenience to modern life. But consider this: what if this seemingly simple, ubiquitous ingredient is, in fact, actively working against your well-being? What if the very substance that enhances the flavor of your meals is simultaneously and quietly diminishing the strength in your legs, making movement progressively more difficult with each passing year? Many seniors experience sensations of leg heaviness, notice swelling around their ankles, or struggle with muscle weakness, often assuming these are merely normal manifestations of the aging process. However, The reality is that excessive sodium intake within the diet stands as a major contributing factor to these prevalent issues. The impact extends beyond concerns about high blood pressure or cardiovascular health. Consuming too much salt directly compromises your fundamental ability to walk, stand, and move with comfort and ease. One of the most significant immediate dangers posed by a high-sodium diet is its propensity to cause water retention. When sodium levels in the bloodstream become excessively high, the body compensates by holding onto extra fluid. This often results in noticeable swelling or edema, primarily affecting the legs and feet. If you've ever experienced your legs feeling unusually heavy, observed puffiness around your ankles, or found your shoes fitting more snugly than usual, it's highly probable that your body is grappling with the effects of excess salt intake. This swelling makes virtually every physical movement feel more strenuous, effectively slowing you down and transforming once simple activities, like ascending stairs, standing for extended periods, or even rising from a chair, into exhausting undertakings. However, the detrimental impact of sodium extends beyond mere swelling. An overabundance of salt also contributes to impaired circulation, thereby depriving your muscles of the vital oxygen and essential nutrients they require to maintain optimal strength and function. Proper, unimpeded blood flow is absolutely essential for keeping your legs feeling energized, responsive, and capable. Yet, excessive sodium intake tends to constrict blood vessels, elevate blood pressure, and reduce the overall efficiency of nutrient delivery throughout the body. Over time, this compromised circulation leads to increased fatigue, diminished endurance, and progressive muscle weakness, making even relatively short walks feel like significant challenges. Perhaps even more alarming is the silent, insidious damage that excessive sodium inflicts upon your bones. Many individuals remain unaware that consuming too much salt causes the body to excrete calcium, effectively leaching this crucial mineral from your bones. This process gradually weakens bone structure, significantly increasing the risk of osteoporosis and fractures. For seniors, this represents a particularly serious threat. Fragile bones mean that a simple misstep or minor fall could potentially result in a debilitating injury, such as a hip fracture, which often leads to a substantial loss of independence. You might not immediately feel these effects on a daily basis, but rest assured that day after day, year after year, surplus salt intake is steadily chipping away at the structural integrity and strength of your bones. And yet, sodium seems to be pervasive in our food supply. It's not just confined to the salt shaker on your dining table. It's frequently hidden in vast quantities within processed foods, canned soups, frozen meals, deli meats, various condiments, and restaurant-prepared dishes. Consequently, many people consume far more salt than they realize, simply because it's added liberally to so many common food items without their explicit knowledge. But there is certainly hope and a clear path forward. Reducing your sodium intake doesn't necessitate sacrificing flavor. Rather, it involves making more conscious and informed choices. Prioritize fresh, whole ingredients over heavily processed alternatives whenever possible. Experiment with using a variety of herbs, spices, and natural seasonings to enhance the taste of your meals without resorting to extra salt. Consider replacing regular table salt with options like Himalayan pink salt or sea salt, which contain trace minerals that can contribute to overall health, though moderation is still key. Most importantly, cultivate a habit of diligently reading nutrition labels on packaged foods and actively seeking out lower sodium alternatives. This simple practice can make a substantial positive difference in how your legs feel and function. The strength and endurance of your legs are not solely dictated by the passage of time. They are profoundly shaped by the dietary choices you consistently make each day. Reducing your sodium consumption is one of the simplest yet most impactful strategies you can employ to alleviate swelling, enhance circulation, fortify your bones, and ultimately keep your legs moving freely and comfortably. It represents a relatively small change that can yield significant long-term benefits, paving the way for a stronger, more independent future where you can move with greater ease, confidence, and vitality. Finally, let's examine white bread and refined carbohydrates, and how they can rob your muscles of essential strength. For many decades, staple foods like white bread, pasta, and various other refined carbohydrates have held a comforting and familiar place at our dinner tables. Picture a warm slice of toast accompanying your morning breakfast, a simple sandwich serving as your midday meal, or a satisfying bowl of pasta enjoyed for dinner. These foods often seem so commonplace, so ordinary. But what if these very dietary mainstays, the ones you've likely consumed for years without giving them much thought, were silently working against you, draining your physical strength, weakening your muscles, and making it progressively harder for you to move with the agility and ease you once possessed? Many seniors naturally assume that the gradual decline in mobility, the increasing sensation of heaviness in their legs, and the growing difficulty they experience with walking are simply inherent aspects of the aging process. While age undoubtedly plays a role, what often goes unrecognized is the significant extent to which daily food choices can accelerate this decline. White bread, refined pasta, pastries, and numerous other processed carbohydrates might offer fleeting satisfaction to your taste buds, but within your body, they provide minimal nutritional value while actively undermining your muscle strength and overall vitality. The fundamental issue with refined carbohydrates originates in their extensive processing. Unlike whole grains, which retain their natural endowment of fiber, vitamins, and minerals, refined grains are systematically stripped of these beneficial components during manufacturing. This process leaves behind little more than easily digestible starch, essentially amounting to empty calories. When you consume a slice of white bread or a serving of regular pasta, your body rapidly converts these simple carbohydrates into sugar. This triggers a swift and pronounced spike in your blood sugar levels. While this might initially provide a brief surge of energy, it is invariably followed by a subsequent sharp decline or crash, which often leaves you feeling tired, sluggish, and physically weak. Over time, this repeated cycle of blood sugar fluctuations takes a significant toll on your muscles, gradually reducing their endurance and making everyday physical movements feel considerably more demanding. However, the damage inflicted by refined carbohydrates extends beyond these energy fluctuations. Excessive consumption of these foods also serves as potent fuel for chronic inflammation throughout the body, one of the most significant adversaries of mobility and muscle health in the aging population. Systemic inflammation causes joints to become stiff and painful, contributes to muscle weakness and fatigue, and can make the entire body feel heavier and less responsive than it should. If you found yourself frequently struggling with aching legs, persistent tiredness, or noticeable difficulty when climbing stairs, it's highly probable that your dietary habits are playing a more substantial role in these challenges than you currently realize. Unlike whole grains, which contain compounds known to help reduce inflammation and support muscle recovery processes, refined carbohydrates exert the opposite effect. They actively feed inflammatory pathways, making it increasingly difficult for your muscles and joints to function properly and without discomfort. One of the most concerning long-term consequences associated with a diet high in refined carbohydrates is their adverse impact on muscle mass preservation. As we navigate the aging process, maintaining adequate muscle mass becomes progressively more crucial for preserving mobility, ensuring good balance, and sustaining overall independence. However, when the body is consistently exposed to refined carbohydrates without receiving sufficient counterbalancing nutrition, particularly adequate protein, the muscles fail to receive the essential amino acids and other building blocks they desperately need to remain strong and functional. Instead, they gradually begin to shrink and weaken, a process known as sarcopenia. This decline is often insidious, proceeding gradually and potentially going unnoticed until routine tasks, such as rising from a chair, walking for extended distances, or carrying groceries, unexpectedly become challenging and strenuous. The positive takeaway here is that it is genuinely never too late to initiate beneficial changes. Consciously choosing whole, unprocessed carbohydrates over their refined counterparts can yield a significant positive difference in your strength, energy levels, and overall capacity for movement. Instead of reaching for standard white bread, opt for whole grain or sprouted grain varieties, which provide valuable fiber and essential nutrients that actively support muscle health. Swap out refined pasta for alternatives like quinoa, brown rice, or whole wheat pasta, all of which offer slower releasing energy without inducing detrimental blood sugar spikes. Make a concerted effort to incorporate plenty of fiber-rich vegetables and lean protein sources into your meals to ensure your body remains adequately fueled and your muscles receive the support they need to thrive. Your legs serve as the very foundation of your mobility, and the nourishment you provide them directly dictates how effectively they will continue to carry you through the years ahead. You do not have to passively accept muscle weakness as an unavoidable consequence of aging. By making mindful, informed dietary choices starting today, you can actively preserve your strength, protect your hard-earned independence, and continue to move with confidence and vitality for many years to come. Remember, every single meal presents an opportunity to either nourish and fortify your body or inadvertently detract from its strength. The choice is ultimately yours. Final thoughts: your legs, your future. Your legs have faithfully carried you through a lifetime filled with diverse experiences. They have supported you during long days of demanding work, walked steadfastly alongside cherished loved ones, and granted you the precious freedom to travel, explore, and live life to its fullest potential. However, as the years gracefully advance, you might begin to perceive them growing weaker, perhaps moving a bit slower, or feeling somewhat less steady than they once were. It's common for people to accept this perceived decline as an inevitable and unchangeable aspect of the aging process. But the empowering truth is that your mobility, your ability to navigate the world on your own terms, is not solely determined by the passage of time. It is profoundly shaped by the conscious choices you make, day in and day out, particularly concerning your diet. The foods you place on your plate wield incredible influence over the future trajectory of your physical health. They possess the power to either nourish and strengthen your muscles, bones, and joints, fortifying your foundation, or they can gradually, almost imperceptibly, strip away your capacity to move with comfort and ease. The decline in leg strength that so many seniors encounter is often not just a matter of getting older. Frequently, it is the cumulative result of years spent consuming foods that promote inflammation, weaken muscle tissue, and deplete the body of essential nutrients vital for optimal function. But herein lies the profoundly good news. Regardless of where you currently stand on your health journey, you retain the remarkable ability to change the course of your physical well-being. Take a moment to imagine waking up each morning feeling genuinely confident in your body's ability to move without the hindrance of pain or struggle. Envision yourself ascending stairs without hesitation, enjoying long, leisurely strolls with family and friends without constantly needing to pause for rest, and standing tall and proud without discomfort weighing you down. These scenarios are not distant, unattainable dreams. They represent tangible possibilities well within your reach. However, achieving them necessitates taking action, and that pivotal action commences with the conscious decisions you make about what you choose to eat. If you've spent a significant portion of your life consuming foods high in processed sugar, unhealthy trans fats, excessive sodium, and various artificial additives, you might already be experiencing some of their detrimental effects. Perhaps your legs feel heavier or more fatigued than they used to. Maybe you find yourself grappling with frequent aches, cramps, or noticeable swelling in your lower limbs. Perhaps you've begun subconsciously avoiding certain activities simply because they now feel too difficult or overly exhausting. These struggles might seem relatively minor initially, but over time, they can unfortunately culminate in a significant loss of independence, a reality that no one desires to face. The fundamental ability to walk freely, to stand strong and stable, to move without the constant fear of falling. These are precious capabilities that many people understandably take for granted until they are diminished or lost. But it absolutely does not have to be this way. By implementing simple, yet intentional, modifications to your diet, you can begin to actively reverse some of the accumulated damage and fortify your body against further decline. By prioritizing whole, unprocessed foods, emphasizing lean proteins, incorporating healthy fats, and focusing on nutrient-dense meals, you effectively provide your body with the essential tools it requires to rebuild strength, restore flexibility, and protect your legs for the future. This journey is not about achieving unattainable perfection overnight. Rather, it's about consistently making better choices, one meal at a time. Your legs have been your steadfast support system throughout a lifetime rich with memories, and they possess the potential to continue carrying you forward vibrantly. However, the responsibility for nurturing and caring for them rests squarely in your hands. Will you passively allow suboptimal dietary habits to erode your strength and limit your horizons? Or will you proactively seize control of your health and shape a more active future? The decisions you make starting today will ultimately determine whether you remain dynamic and independent, or whether you find yourself increasingly reliant on others for even the simplest of movements. Choose health. Choose strength. Choose a future where you can continue walking, continue moving, and continue living life fully on your own terms. Because your legs are your foundation, and they deserve to be strong and capable. These lessons shared on Old Age Wisdom are intended to inspire you to live fully, authentically, and with vitality. Now, we would genuinely love to hear from you. Please take a moment to reflect on what you've learned today and share in the comments below one specific insight or change you plan to apply in your own life. Let's encourage and support one another on this shared journey toward embracing these important truths for healthier aging. If you found this video helpful and informative, we'd be grateful if you could give it a thumbs up, like, share it with friends or family who might benefit, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Old Age Wisdom, for more content dedicated to navigating the later years with strength and grace. Thank you so much for watching, and here's to living life empowered and on your own terms.